From the 915 to H-Town, from the Panhandle Plains to the Valley, and everywhere in between. This is the 50/50 podcast, powered by National Scouting Report. Join me, Hector Cano, as we cover the Texas high school club and college soccer landscape, along with an inside look at the college soccer recruiting scene. The 50/50 podcast is a platform about the people and for the people who are dedicated to the beautiful game. Here we go. It's another edition of the 50/50 podcast, powered by our new partners at NSR, National Scouting Report. They are the world's leading authority on athletic recruiting. You can get more information on what they're about and what they're doing on social, on Twitter at NSR Now, as well as on Instagram at NSR_NOW. My next guest, he is no stranger, no stranger to the podcast whatsoever. I think making his, it's got to be, what is it, third, maybe fourth time on the podcast.
Is it four? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah. So he is the new area director of NSR-Texas, the National Scouting Report here in Texas. Greg Smith. Greg, welcome, buddy.
Thank you, Coach. How are you, man?
Hey, man. It's what is it? Thursday? It's Thursday, right? I was about to say Saturday.
No, every day feels like a Monday almost.
Yeah, I was about to say. I thought it was Saturday, but yeah,
almost.
It's June 1st, the start of a new month,
Yeah.
and excited to have you here. I know we're going up against the up against game one of the NBA Finals, but we know.
Oh, this is a way better broadcast.
Yeah, we know we have priorities. So,
Yeah.
So welcome. Excited to have you here. I know it's been a minute since we had a chance to have you on here, but you and I have obviously been working closely together for a while now. So definitely still excited to have you here, and in a new role, new capacity. We're excited to talk about a lot of great things. Have you here for episode 81, and let's dive right in. So, obviously, big news recently, right? Just a couple of weeks ago, College Promoters USA, in which you were the president of, company that had been in existence for, I think it was 26 going on 27 years.
27, yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, just recently merged with National Scouting Report. So, tell us a little bit more about the merger. The I guess the why, the how come, the what made you do it, kind of.
Well,
tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, and to your point, you and I have been talking a lot about this stuff for a long time, but there's a lot of reasons. I mean, the underlying biggie, right, is my relentless pursuit to genuinely deliver the best support and service to these families and their children. As cliche as that might sound, but that's what, when my dad from a spare bedroom started College Promoters in 97 to, again, fast forward in about 27 years or so, that is still the main driving focus. And I had been looking a lot at some rebranding ideas and a lot of things coming into the new year. And, most families I know and parents and just people in general are not as aware of this industry that I'm in as obviously I am. But the reality is, if you stop and look around, it's thinning out, right? Like and the reality is how many actual businesses and companies, not one-man bands, not, how many actual companies exist that are out here with boots on the ground, sincerely trying to work together and face-to-face with moms and dads, parents, guardians, and their student athlete. And again, it's thinning. And for those that have maybe talked to me over the years, anytime someone would say to me, who's your competition, right? In Texas here especially, and really everywhere, everybody knows the NCSA telemarketing sales machine, right? And I would always talk about that's what we're all up against. And today, there ultimately was College Promoters and the original name in the space, National Scouting Report, who I have always touted as the only name in the industry that did it or does it the way we did it, which again, boots on the ground, trying to be right here in these communities and be accessible every day to these mom, dads, and their student athletes. And so and it's so, I've talked this a lot with a lot of people, and it's wild to say, but NSR is the original name in the industry. 1980. My dad started this in 97 here in San Antonio. NSR was doing it almost 20 years prior to that. And so as I came into this new year off the back, from a business side somewhere in here too, right? I have tons of costs, tons of overhead, trying to continue, like I say, to deliver the best business to these families here in Texas and abroad. And it just, the more I thought about, again, rebranding and just kind of upgrading our systems and looking at some different things I knew I wanted to do, I knew there still would remain not only our battle against NCSA, just say it like it is. I mean, these guys will telemarket parents to death, overpromise, oversell, all of that. And had I just kind of stayed the course, I would not only still be battling that system, but somewhere in here, this new company that I'm so excited to be bringing here to Texas now, and especially into this San Antonio and Centex area and beyond, these guys would still remain my competition too. And so it just made sense.
Mhm.
And as especially we started digging into the conversations with the leadership and the founders and the owners of NSR as well, I mean, it was just, there's so many similarities, and we can definitely talk more on them. It's
Right.
really cool. But ultimately, this is the original player in the game, as maybe cheesy as it sounds, but like NSR is the Coca-Cola and the rest are the Pepsis and RC Colas, and, and trying to emulate it. And now, especially to this day, sort of what it means.
Mhm.
I mean, there is no other name in the industry, not only this large, again, much less the original name in the space, going on 44 years in this industry now, but again, sincere boots on the ground, real people in these communities to meet with you, to work with you, and be accessible to you, not telemarket you, not overpromise you, not sell you. And, as over our years together already, that was such a big message of what College Promoters was always about,
Right.
but so is NSR, and somewhere in there, and not to take away from my family's business for so long, and all of the amazing staff, heck, my old man, my mom, my dad, much less all of our amazing team and everyone along the way. NSR is the business I've been trying to build since I took over College Promoters in 2011, 2012. This, it's the same thing I've been trying to do. And so rather than continue to kind of pound my head against the wall and, be up against this a little bit, it made sense to team up. And I'm honored to be able to, right? I mean, NSR could have very easily been like, no, thanks. What for? And so that in the big picture, I'm very honored at NSR's embrace of who we are, what we've been up to for almost 3 decades as well. In, of course, a smaller fashion, less people, smaller company. But that's the exciting thing now is this really is the premier name to truly work with you and to be accessible, to be held accountable, but somewhere in here then to really deliver on the best overall service for your son or daughter through the recruiting process.
So you mentioned boots on the ground, right? So kind of paint a picture, give a visual of what that for maybe the younger parent, right, or the younger student athlete that's just answering the college recruiting process, is thinking about it. Maybe parents are looking at high school student athlete marketing services, or they talk to each other and it's like, hey, is it worth it, right? Should I, or am I just throwing my money away? So when you mention boots on the ground, give a brief kind of visual, paint a picture, give us a framework of what that means.
So NSR has over 50 different individuals, men and women. This is by no means just guys here. I mean, we've got former Division I football coaches, soccer, women's coaches. I mean, and everything in between, former professionals. The team that NSR has on the ground is not only superior, but again, to your point and the explanation around that of what that means. And that's what's tough in this industry. And I like that you mentioned for the younger family, because most parents don't know, right? Like most moms and dads of all types, even moms and dads that maybe played some college athletics once upon a time, which most didn't, but we see a lot of that. Obviously, good athletic moms and dads breed, pretty commonly good athletic kids. And so even those folks don't necessarily today know how to navigate this process, know how to go maximize this process, and stuff you and I talk a lot about all the time.
Right.
There just isn't a lot of education out there for them. And that's what frustrates me so much. College promoters, NSR, really doesn't matter. The thing that frustrates me so much is parents, for lack of a better way to say it, but being taken advantage of by, these .com sales machines, as I essentially label them. And they don't know, though. Like, moms and dads don't know any better. And so when these .coms get to them and hard sell them and make them feel guilty and all these terrible things, they don't know what they don't know. And if they don't know that there was a resource right in their same area code, much less even zip code, like, it's really too bad that happens. And so that's been NSR's thing from the beginning, obviously no different than mine. And so that's the thing that, we always pride ourselves on is literal accessibility, and not just, and nothing against this, not just digital, not just Zoom, not just through a screen and behind keyboards and text messaging, right? But literally right here locally in these communities.
Correct.
And it plays into more of what I know we want to talk about, but that's where, I'm excited as well of kind of how my role will continue to evolve. I mean, the name of the company, right? Like National Scouting Report. That what this company prides itself on is the sincere evaluation and scouting of these athletes, not selling moms and dads and enrolling however many kids we possibly can, but physically getting out, getting to these events, and being on site and making sure these student athletes, well before we even have interest in talking with a mom and dad, we're sure that these kids, are the right fit for the next level, at least on the pitch, on the court, on the track, whatever it might be. So that's where that boots on the ground.
Got you. So what does that mean? What does it mean? So we already talked about the why and the how as it relates to the merger, but now with this new merger, and we'll talk about your role specifically a little bit more in a minute.
Sure.
But now with NSR, with National Scouting Report now entering really entering the Texas market now, what does it mean for just whether it's just the casual supporter, the listener, or someone that just knows some of the other marketing services around the country, but even that same student athlete, that same parent, maybe even coaches, right? Whether it's club coaches, high school coaches, what does it mean with NSR now kind of entering the picture?
So I definitely don't want to take away from what NSR has been doing in Texas, prior to us, really trying to bring things together. They've had a good presence here, for a long time, a little more out into your East Texas, Houston region, a little bit up into Dallas, a little here in our South and Central Texas regions as well. But, that was also what had this merger make so much sense from NSR's side is, really getting their hands on a quality team that's going to be able to, let's say it like it is. I mean, it's Texas, right? Like, there's student athletes here. This is what we do here. And, so that was one of the big upsides for NSR to bring this into their program, was to build an even stronger unit in one of, if, there's California or Florida would argue with us, but, into one of, if not the most prime athletic high school student athletic states that there is. And so what it means, and again, now we still got to inform families that we're here, right? Like that's the thing that with any new scouts and individuals that I bring in, I mean, that's still the battle, right? Is having families understand not only what we do and how long we've been doing it and who and what we are, but that we're here and that there are alternatives essentially to these .coms that throw money at every single tournament. They'll buy every list of names. They'll give money to any club, coach, event, tournament, etc.
Correct. Yeah.
The idea still remains for us to make sure to help families understand this is here. So that's, of course, a big part of what my role is pressing on. But what it means is, and obviously I'm biased. I brought my family's business and put this merger together. So obviously I'm supportive of this program, but what it means is more recruitment and a sincere support system for every student athlete that grabs a hold of this, whether, here in Texas or beyond, through me and through this
Mhm.
umbrella. And so, that is what I am excited to be doing. I'm obviously proud and honored at, the ability to continue supporting what you're doing here with the 50/50 pod, but just trying to inform the community on really what's here now. And again,
Nice.
not to take away from college promoters and everything we were doing, but what is here and now even more expansive, what's available to these families
Correct.
alongside everything that was here prior. I mean,
Right.
our team, we're
Right.
all still
And
here.
it's so true. It's so true because one of the things you talk about is, and of course, not taking anything away from
I know.
your former organization, right, in College
Mhm.
Promoters USA,
I know it.
but also in NSR, right, not taking anything away from the work
Sure.
they had already previously done in the state of Texas, but
Right.
your role is kind of the exciting piece, right? And the
Yeah.
fact that it's
Yeah.
really entering, really kind of diving in now into this market. But for the newer listeners, right? The history. Talk to us briefly about the history. We've talked about it a little bit, but
Sure.
let's dive into a little bit more. Give us a little bit more background on the
Well,
history of NSR and what they bring.
and this is one of the things that was just, serendipitous, or I don't know, whatever you want to call it,
Yeah.
but they're family owned, right? Like, the started in 1980, though, where we talk about 97 for us. I was a freshman in high school at Lee. I tell that story all the time.
Man,
But
you're old.
if I'm old, I don't know what that makes you if I'm old, bro.
I graduated the year before, so
Did you? Okay. All right. All right. Well, either way, you're
yeah,
older. Uh,
I am. I am.
no, but wiser.
There we go. Experience.
But founded in 1980, right? Like the
Right.
original name they invented the industry, and the company, the family, the Rigney family, the president and CEO today, Rusty Rigney. He's been there for, gosh, upwards, I think maybe 30 years now. I apologize, Rusty, if I don't mean to date you too much there, guy. But his dad started it. They had a printing press business that the family ran, and Rusty's old man, came up with the idea. Why don't we use this printing press we have? Let's print. I don't even have a piece of paper, but literal hard copy paper, 1980. I mean, VHS was still kind of new, even as wild as that is. But and then let's go mail this stuff to college coaches with the kids' little black and white fuzzy photo, and let's introduce student athletes to college coaches using the mailman and a printing press. And so that's where the whole industry started there. And, again, now, and then still family owned to this day. Like, Rusty's wife's involved, no different than my old man. And then my mom jumped in. Rusty's daughter's in the mix. Like, it's his sister. And then many, many others. I mean, that's the other thing too, right? It's a bigger company. I talked about, 50 plus boots on the ground all over the country.
Right. Right.
The corporate home office, again, respectfully to my business of so long, but much more support, a much larger video team, much more larger admin support, and just, so much there. But the family owned side, I don't know if you can see it. I know you love my squad. Rusty also is a diehard Braves fan, bro. So I found that out too, and it was just like, man, we
If it
we got to
if
team
it
up.
isn't Manchester United fans, I could get stuck with Atlanta Braves fans. What is going
No,
on?
I know, and I know we're in the wrong sport, but
Yeah.
and I know, to the listeners, what does it matter, right? But like, in our little world, and this is just, we've all put so much time and energy and blood, sweat, and tears into this, and sincerely trying to build the best business and
Correct.
deliver the best service every day. To have little things that, also family owned, founded by the dad, and his son's involved running it today, and just the Braves, and his wife's involved, all these things.
Yeah.
Just really played into a lot of it, much less than, of course, as I, started getting to communicate with a lot of the executives and Rusty himself and everybody on the team.
Great stuff.
Again,
Make sure you do me a favor and you remind Rusty of who won last year's World Series. Just saying. Just saying.
oh yeah,
But,
believe me, we know.
as we
But
segue here,
but 2021.
as we segue here, Greg, what has you? So let's talk about your role now
Okay,
specifically,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So pretty exciting stuff. Very happy for you, right? So
Thank
the first ever, I should say, area director for NSR-Texas, right? Tell us, that's some great stuff. Tell us what kind of that role, what it means, what has you most excited about it, and just maybe some stuff that's on the horizon.
Yeah. So it's different for me, right? I mean, I've been in my family's biz since I'm 19. We're just talking about how old we are. I just turned 41 there last month. So, and again, for the past about 11 years or so, 12 years, I've been president, CEO of the company myself, which means wearing a lot of different hats, taking care of a lot of different processes as a business owner,
Right.
as a president of a company, as opposed to now what I get to kind of exert a little more time and energy into the, I don't want to say what I was doing for so long wasn't fun. It is, and it was. But the fun part in this line of work really is, at least for me, getting out there, watching sports, right? I mean, but getting out there and being able to evaluate talent, scouting talent, and then as well, really getting to dive in and be an even closer asset to these moms and dads and student athletes, and not just, from kind of the initial upfront side, but throughout it as well. And 20 plus years in this is all I know. I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but my expertise and being able to deliver that to these families.
Yeah.
I pride myself in that. It really, again, there isn't a lot of help for parents out there in this,
Correct.
how to
Right.
maximize the process. There's good
Yeah.
people, there's good clubs, these are good folks, good coaches, all this stuff. But in terms of what to do, when to do it, and actual
Right.
tools and resources,
Right. Right.
this isn't a whole lot. So getting to fill that gap and really have that be the bulk of my day to day, as opposed to so many other things, of course, that come
Hmm.
along with business ownership and the running of a company. Now, I mean, I'll miss it. There's some control and some power that I've lost, and so I've had to relinquish some things that
Right. Right.
I just sort of took for granted or became very comfortable with. But
Right.
these guys have just made it an awesome transition. We're
Mhm.
still working very close, trying to get all our families brought in. And so please, you families out there, make sure you get your profile proofs approved and get this stuff authenticated on your end so that we can really dive into these new tools and resources with you.
Mhm.
But that's the new role, man. Really getting to be more hands-on every day, and that really serving as kind of the bulk of what I'm doing. I mean, but as well, and it's not just student athletes. Obviously, I'm still here to try to help bring quality individuals on throughout our state and beyond too. I'm very passionate about this. Heck, it's originally a lot of what I talked with you about, but is trying to find quality people and people that sincerely
Okay.
care about these kids, these families, and want to help some folks in their community. So that's a big part of what I'm still going to be doing. But here locally through our region, I'll be very much hands-on. You'll see me out at different events, different tourneys, different stuff, live scouting, and
Anything
really.
on the horizon? Anything in the immediate future that you can share with us?
So we've got football season here. We've got some combines coming up in July that we're looking at. There's some softball things brewing. I may have to sneak out of town for a while to go scout that, but that as well. And heck, I mean, anybody listening, we've got some really amazing things that we can bring to your ID camps, to your showcases, your camps, your combines, that NSR takes care of all over the country and puts on. And so
Mhm.
that's also another thing I'm really excited about bringing into this region, is really bringing more showcases, more events, more tangible things that moms and dads can bring their student athlete to, that as well we get college coach attention around.
Nice.
And
Love
so
that. Great stuff.
that's all stuff in the works.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I want to kind of pick your brain with it and see what we can do on this soccer front, much less obviously all these other sports that we're tapped into.
Right. Right.
But
Absolutely. That's been that's been one of the questions I've fielded the most, as you know, is like, hey, what does this mean for you and your role? And
yeah,
obviously, there's more to come with that down the road in terms of myself and you, and
right.
of course, and NSR. So definitely excited for that. But most of all, talking about you, we're excited about you and your role here as area director here for NSR Texas. And we're excited to be partnered with NSR as well. Just as we're excited, speaking of partners, we're excited with our partners at Gipper. So Gipper is the way schools, athletic departments, ADs, and coaches create world-class marketing content. Join over 2,500 coaches, ADs, and that use Gipper to create high-quality visual branded graphics for your program. The best part, anyone can do it in seconds on any device without needing any design experience whatsoever. If you do have significant experience in this and you're what they call the power user, it is designed for you as well. So, listeners of the 50/50 podcast, just for being a listener, you can receive 10% off any first time Gipper purchase. So, again, that is 10% off simply for being a supporter and a listener of the 50/50 podcast. Just go to gipper.com/partner/50/50 to learn more. Again, that's gipper.com/partner/50/50.
Hey, and real
All right.
quick, we
Yeah.
we love Gipper. Like we use it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really some great software, man.
Yeah. They're the absolute,
Out
they're,
there.
yeah.
And
They're
it
the,
continues to get better. I mean, that's come a long way
yeah.
just since we originally jumped in with it too. I really like what Gipper's doing.
People ask me all the time what's one of the things that I love about, there's two things. It's kind of one and 1A. Excuse me. Is, and you're right. They continuously are evolving in terms of features and options and upgrades, and regardless of what plan that you're on. And
Right.
then the other thing too is their customer service. Their customer support is world class. Especially when you start to, you get some other plans where their customer support is completely built in.
Right.
Absolutely world class. You can have somebody on the phone, an actual person, not a robot, within minutes, and they're helping you through different procedures, different processes. If you have any questions whatsoever, any issues with just with your account as far as being able to log in, what have you, anything, their customer support is world class. So just those two things alone, that's before we start diving into their actual features, right?
Yeah.
So
It's quality. There's no
so
doubt.
yeah, thank you for mentioning that.
Yeah.
So now we go back, kind of reflect a little bit, bittersweet. College Promoters USA, right? Thoughts on the organization when you look back, where it started, right? Where your dad brought it, 1997, out of your house, right? Out of the
Yeah. I
your
mean,
parents'
across the
house
hall from my little bedroom.
to,
Yeah.
yeah, and then to what it became almost 27 years later. The
Right.
team, the team that we had, I'm at least proud to say that I was there. I was there at the end, right?
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah.
when you look back on it, what comes to mind? What are the thoughts that you have when you look back on it?
Oh man. I not to sound cheesy, man, but love, right? Like there's been so many people that have come through our lives, and different things that have happened in my family's business over the years that we I don't know, we miracles from God or whatever you want to call it. I mean, my dad for years, talked about he started it for survival, right? It was about just trying to create something he was very passionate about. But in the day one, I mean, it was about survival, where today, none of this is possible without it. It just, it is, again, this stuff sounds so cliche, but like it made me who I am, and I've done a lot of different things as well besides be a part of my family's business for so long. But the fact that we were able to, and my old man for 5 years by himself from nothing. I mean, I didn't jump in until late 01, early 02. And, but for that to go from where it started to be able to merge with the original name in the industry and to have them, excitedly embrace who and what we are and what we're doing. Again, and that's a super fast forwarded point, but
Right.
I'm really, really proud. And not of me, like I'm proud of my family and everyone's involvement along the way. I was there, but I mean, and yourself and countless others though, man, that, along the way, a lot of my friends worked for the company one, and I hopefully my wife's not listening. I had even a prior girlfriend way back worked for us too. Again, my mom jumps in and really became a full family biz. And man, the different office spaces we had and being so proud of local and having a place and somewhere where parents can come to and kids can come drop off their film after, Monday after the game, Friday night, or, whatever. It's just really cool, man. But
Yeah.
it didn't come easy. I mean,
No.
literal blood, sweat, and tears, so much hard work. And I think that, when I talk about like pride or just being proud, I'm proud of the support system, my dad and my mom, obviously more than anybody, but all of my family, my wife, my daughter today, heck, all of my friends and support system, neighbors, and just, and much less all of our clients, over 4,000 people from 1997 to 2023 trusted us with their student athletes. And it's just a really cool thing looking back when you look at it that way. We're not doing 4,000 kids a month, man. I mean, like, that's what these .coms are doing. We did
Mhm.
4,000 kids in 27 years.
Yeah.
And so that being able to sustain.
Yeah, but the difference was it was almost 4,000. It was relationships, right?
Yeah, yes.
Families. It wasn't, yeah, it wasn't students. It
Yeah.
wasn't bodies. They weren't accounts. These were
Right.
relationships, right?
And
So,
and many of them to this day, right, are in that number. A
yeah.
good, not thousands, but a good couple hundred people of that number I brought along, obviously, at no cost into this new merger.
Mhm.
And we're helping them get their hands on these new tools that we didn't have prior. And so there's a learning curve here for all of us. But that's the thing I'm most excited about in terms of our existing and future clients, in terms of
Yeah.
just the tools, and the new things that they are going to be able to use. But man,
Mhm.
it has been a crazy journey,
Yeah.
and I just, it's definitely, um, there's been a lot of help, from
Right.
higher powers, from outside, friends and families, much less, again, my mother and father, who put their life in this, man, and so have I. And so, that's what makes me so proud, man. I'm
Right.
really proud of this whole thing.
Yeah.
I appreciate you asking that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. It needs to be asked. It's been well earned.
Thank you.
Now I'm gonna put you on a spot here a little bit. See,
Oh, okay.
kind of a quick two-parter, right? Without
Yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
hit me.
without overthinking it, maybe. What was the easiest and the hardest part of essentially of the merger and essentially ending College Promoters USA? Easiest and
Um,
hardest part.
I think the easiest was just the overall arching like the business purpose, right? Like
Mhm.
the upgrade of the business, right? And again, and I know in any of my existing families that are new into the merge, I know we're learning, but that's the thing that really made it the easiest, right? And especially once then I got to know Rusty and the rest of the team, and the amazing, support system behind this whole company, really made it a no-brainer very quickly.
Mhm.
The hardest, man, and not that there aren't countless others.
Right.
I think without a doubt, the hardest, for lack of a better way to say it, is was closing our doors, and restructuring. And shout out John Michael, Matt, Frank, my crew from the local side.
Right.
That's definitely, the hardest thing was that change. And these are great young men. John Michael with me
Yeah.
almost 10 years,
Absolutely.
Matt 12. I love we got Frank, with the 50/50 crew, man. That is such a
Yeah,
special
man.
man as
Joining us.
well.
Yeah. Yeah,
Daniel
absolutely.
Kidd, man. Frank, if you're listening, bro, you're the GOAT. But that for sure, and that for me as a business owner for a long time was always hard for me. I
Mhm.
rarely ever had to do it, frankly. But, I don't say firing people, because that's not at all what happened. But,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, having to
Correct.
let anyone go is tough. But in
Yeah.
terms of the merge, just that change with my existing
Mhm.
crew, because they too, not just my mom and dad and I mean, our team over all these years, and we've had some amazing individuals. We've had some people that are no longer with us today, and like literally, like we've had some amazing people that have worked
Right.
with us and for us, as well. But that existing crew, man, they brought it every day, and still do.
Yeah.
But
Phenomenal group. Yeah, you're right. Absolutely phenomenal group.
the
Yeah.
stand up
And
people,
I loved being able to be a small part of that process.
yeah, man, and that's
Yeah.
where you're in there too, no doubt.
Yeah. So appreciate that. And
Yeah.
so any message, you got any message? Because as you mentioned, there was a couple of hundred families, right, in terms
Yeah.
of this merger that were impacted by it,
Right.
and they made they made the shift, right, from College Promoters USA to NSR.
Yep.
Anything you wanna maybe share with them that might be listening as far as the process, the procedure right now in making the transition?
Sure. So, and I hope, and I'm gonna try to get this to a bunch of them as well. That are too busy watching that NBA Finals game. Um, but but uh, grab a hold of it. Right. The
Yeah.
important thing, is, and this, I talked about, like, I don't have the same power I once had, and that holds true into the website and admin controls even from a website. So I don't have the same ability to go in and just have essentially super admin control over everything. So there's some steps and some things, no different than with college promoters as well, that parents, student athletes got to take a hold of on their side. It's their recruit profile, it's their student athlete. So I built everybody's scouting report. Everybody get your stuff approved if you haven't. And then somewhere in there, guys, and I just reached out to everyone about this as well. And we're going to be reconnecting again here in next week. But get your personal message put together. One of the really neat things that NSR does that we didn't at College Promoters was we give these kids a platform within their profile to literally have their own personal message that every college coach sees as we introduce them.
Yeah, yeah.
The company markets these kids
That's
every
awesome.
month.
It's great stuff. It's awesome.
Yeah. And so, but those are things that, like, I can't even go in there and do it. Like, I'm not even allowed to go in and type a kid's personal message. And so, there's some
Right.
steps in there that we want to see these families grabbing. But then into the promotional stuff, the signing announcements. Ultimately, I'm here to help everybody oversee, and somewhere in here, I do have control over the execution of the promotional tools. So as families get activated fully, and most of them are, we've still got a few we're trying to pull along. But as everyone gets fully activated and we start really pushing into the signing announcement, and then into our regional promotion, video promotion, and et cetera, even brochure, man. Like, one of the things I love, this company started, like I talk about, with a printing press.
Printing
They
press.
still use hard copy, which I love, right? Like, you talk about
Yeah.
something no one, everywhere you look, everything is like, we want you to be paperless, and all these things. And it makes sense, right? In terms of your CPS bill, not mailing you paper or
Right.
whatever. But that's one thing I love about NSR. Again, another thing no one's doing, and it's stuff that we execute on for these kids,
Mhm.
little hard copy promotion and putting, true old school, really pretty looking brochures, but
Yeah.
direct mail things as well.
Right.
So there's just a lot of really neat tools that, when utilized, whether it's in front of ID camps or on the back end, right? Or, whatever concepts we're attacking on, there's themes and guidance and reasoning behind it all. And so that's where I obviously will be very instrumental to these families, but we just got to get them all fully activated and get this stuff kicking, man. There's just
Yeah.
so many cool
Yeah.
things that this system does that
Right.
we didn't. So it's just a matter of getting these parents and these kids hands on this
Yeah.
stuff.
So one final one here for you, Greg, as we start wrapping up here. So from the PSA, right, the prospective student athlete, the soccer recruit perspective, they're listening. Maybe they're not. They're thinking about the process or entering the college recruiting process. Parents,
Right.
they're having that conversation. Why? What does this mean from their standpoint, right? From their point of view, why should this matter, right? What does this merger mean in terms of the future of the sport of soccer in Texas and in this region, especially in the San Antonio, Austin area, but across Texas? What does that merger mean for the future?
Sure. So, and I touched on this a little bit, right? I
Mhm.
mean,
Yeah,
someone here, it's still our job to inform moms and dads, families, that we're here. And so that still will forever remain a key battle in my industry and in this line of work. But and as you know, I mean, it's a big reason, I wanted to be the title sponsor for what you're doing and be as supportive as I can behind you, much less, my director of soccer, which you still very much are here locally. Will be leaning on you, man, in this sport. You wait. But, honestly, and again, I just, obviously, as well, I'm going to say this, but at the end of the day, this is the best service and system there is. And I've already seen, like, yesterday, man, and shout out Aiden Sanchez. we launched Aiden's signing announcement, and I got buried from my end because I'm directly tied, where I talk about having a much more hands-on role with the way this system is structured. I get to see things more on the fly, right? Where normally, you know, for so many years, I'm like, look, guys, like, I don't know what's going to land in your inbox and I'm unable to see it, you know, where now with some of this NSR system, we are able to be a little more in that mix in real time and know who is and what coaches are coming through, who's touching base. Obviously, many of them come to us directly too, which, I mean, I shout out Eddie Salazar from TLU. He went to Lee like way back, and he shot me a thing back on, I think it was on Aiden. And I was like, Eddie, bro, I was like, I don't know if you remember me. And I think Eddie was a couple years older than I was. I forget what class. And I shouldn't even, I'm airing him out, his age too. But
everyone's old. Huh?
I know, yeah. But you know, really getting to see that firsthand already. And again, especially here in Texas, like the amount of immediate Texas soccer coaches that I saw engage promptly from the very first. And again, shout out Aiden Sanchez, man. Kid's a stud, no less.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, yeah, you know the name. But that's the thing for me, right? That as I continue for so many years trying to evolve our business and improve it, that's the thing. As now that I'm, you know, sincerely, you know, kind of both feet in now with NSR, seeing that immediate result, even just, and again, the kid's a stud, and you know, but to see that immediate result and response from these coaches, and again, especially here in our home state. So to your point of Texas soccer, you know, girls soccer, for whatever reason, I feel like the coaches work harder. And again, respect to all of my men's soccer coaches. But you know, that the women's soccer recruiting space, you know, I didn't really worry as much about over all these years. But again, so on this men's side, and as Aiden's stuff went live and more coming with every day, I was just pumped, man. And so that, and then again, to then be able to be the one that gets back to Coach Salazar, Eddie, what's up, man? You know, and then I like just I won't ramble on about my inbox today, but you know, that that is really what excites me the most, because it really is the best system that there is available. But no different than with college promoters, or going it alone, whatever moms and dads are out there trying to do, no different. You got to be involved though. You know, there is no
Absolutely.
magic website, service, guy, company, boots on the ground. Nobody can do it all for you. And these coaches at the next level, and especially anybody listening, any coaches listening would attest to this. They got to get to know your son or daughter. And it can't just be, you know, your club coaches and high school coach or friends or dad or Greg or Hector's or whatever of the world doing it all and doing all the communication. So at the end of the day, the thing that will not change, you know, I don't care how great of a system I'm trying to deliver, the student athlete and somewhere in here, mom and dad, we got to work this thing together. So that still remains constant. But man, these tools and, you know, just the feedback and response I'm already seeing from the college coach side, I'm pumped, man. So
good.
So you families out there, please take a peek, NSR-Inc.com. My Twitter handle's right here. I welcome any interest. We're not for everybody, you know, and neither is the college process. And we're very selective. And that's another thing that from the NSR side, I mean, we're not playing any games, and we're looking for sincere talent and aggressive desire to want to attack this process.
Absolutely. Great stuff. Pumped for you guys.
Thank you.
And like I said, absolutely excited about the partnership as well. And speaking of our partners, excuse me, I want to tell you guys briefly about our partners at Global Scarves. So Global Scarves they are the top provider of custom knit scarves, beanies, and other fan merchandise in the U.S. All merch is fully custom with free design services and free shipping on all orders. You can contact them at info@globalscarves.com. Again, that is info@globalscarves.com to get any free designs or quotes built out for your school, club, program, or even personal stuff if you want to get some personal ones done as well. So use the code #5050pod or just tell them the 5050 podcast and they'll be sure to take care of you. Again, my guy, Kyle, he'll take care of you. You can contact them at info@globalscarves.com.
And hey, not to piling on the Gipper thing, but the scarves too, man. You gave me one as a little gift. They're really nice. Like,
They
I don't,
are. They
for
are.
anybody out there, in kind of that market or looking for something in
The
that realm.
design they did on it,
Yeah,
I just initially said, "Hey, here's what I'm thinking," but
yeah,
very basic, and then they just ran with it, and it was awesome.
yeah. It was.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
They did
So,
well.
yeah, so big shout out to our friends at Global Scars as well. So, we start to wrap up here, right,
Yeah.
Greg? We start to wrap up, kind of this is our stoppage time. Any just here's our kind of final thoughts, any shout outs, thank yous, whatever's on your mind as it relates to, the recruiting process, the merger, anything. You have the floor. The floor is yours.
Yeah, I mean, and I know I already touched on it, and I don't. They're at up in Little Rock, Arkansas, at some Double A baseball game tonight, so
Nice.
they're not able to check it live. But obviously, my folks, man, my mom and dad have been such an integral part, obviously, but of my life, much less this business. So I got to shout them out first and foremost. But my wife, Desiree, my little girl, Gianna. I have such an amazing, helpful support system at home, much less all of my relatives, all of my family, my extended family, my in-laws, and everybody. This would not be possible literally without them all. And again, some of that
Right.
sounds cliche, but even my friends as well. I mean, I'm a pretty lucky guy, man. I'm a pretty blessed guy to have just some good people around me to support me and help in various ways, whether that's physically, and from a business side and referrals and different things, much less just being there, and helping me along the way emotionally and all that good stuff. So again, and much less my crew. Shout out John Michael, Matt, Muniz, Frank, my intern. Shout out Madeline, my new one, Jalen as well. But you, Hector, as well, man. And thank you so
Army of interns, man. Army
yeah,
of
yeah. Oh man, and some great ones.
A nice little shout out from our buddy. They're my co-host of Inside Texas High School Soccer, Rafa Castorena.
Yes.
Kind
Shout
of
out Rafa, man.
giving you a
He's
shout out and congrats on the new partnership. Thank you for
thank
that, buddy. Appreciate you.
thank you, Rafa. I don't think I've met Rafa directly. I want to say maybe an email or two. Lots of parents have brought the name up in my office from time to time
He's
too.
a ninja. He's a
So,
ninja like that. You gotta, yeah.
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 So, but man, and honestly, you too, Hector. I mean, I'm honored to have been a part of this with you from the beginning and to help support what you're
Likewise.
doing. I never had a doubt in you, man. The minute we met, I knew you were a good human being, man. As simple as that maybe sounds, it's tougher to find than you think sometimes. And so,
Yeah.
again, I appreciate all your support through the years, which sounds crazy, years already, me and you.
I know.
But it's wild. But again, and of course, to continue supporting and be a part of this, you and I need to do some lunch so I can really show you firsthand some of these new items, man. It's cool, man. It's neat stuff. But somewhere near too, real quick, like shout out Rafa's comment. Shout out the NSR team, Rusty, Brian, Larry, Susan, Robert, everybody at the NSR, Tracy. They've been so welcoming and so helpful to all the families as well. All of our families that are coming on board already, guys, please don't be afraid to engage that team as well. These are stand-up human beings, stand-up people. It's all I try to surround myself with from a business side, from a personal side. And I just couldn't be more proud of this whole thing. But I couldn't be more thankful and grateful and just appreciative to all the help over nearly 3 decades to help see this day even happen.
Yeah.
So just really shout out everybody that's ever come across our path, whether again you worked with us or you had your son or daughter with us in 2004, or obviously my current families, and heck, Andy Browns of the world out there. Shout out Andy. I don't know if you
Andy.
see his brother. I just so many great people, the coaches, the clubs. There's just a lot of support that's out there that without it, we definitely don't make it 27 plus years, much less get to partner with the original name in the space and get to bring this thing deeper into our area. So Thank you really to everybody, man. But again, you too, Hector. I really appreciate you. You're a good man, and you're doing awesome stuff with this 50/50 pod, man. You're a good one.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And
Yes,
most of all, to all of you, to congratulations to you, the family on the merger as well. Great stuff. Just want to go ahead and take that time and congratulate you. Right, right.
yeah, look at this sounder. Look at this
A
guy.
little bit of applause there. And so, yeah,
Years later, we better have a clap button, I guess.
yeah, we will. Um,
Thank you, though, man.
so,
You're
yeah,
thank you so much, Hector. I really appreciate
absolutely excited. Excited to be partnering again with with NSR and with you, of course, continuing that relationship, that friendship, that partnership
it. Sir.
means the world to us, means the world to me. So grateful for that. And yeah, I mean, we talked about how my kind of stoppage time thoughts really quick. I'll make these quick. Is thank you to all the people that have reached out, and we've had some big announcements that we dropped this week. First and foremost, our team getting a little bit bigger and bringing in Mr. Franco, bringing him in. He's going to be as our college recruiting insider, as well as doing a lot of work on our newsletter that we'll be having coming out later, as well as our eventual website. So yeah, that leads us to another big announcement. Is still in the very, very infant construction phases in terms of the what it's going to look like. But we're excited to be able to say that we're going to bring that as well, an official website. And then again, we've talked about it a couple of times as well. Just the partnership with NSR, our title sponsor. Super proud to have them, and super proud to have you as well, Greg, because knowing that your role with, especially with NSR-Texas as well, that they're going to be in great hands. So
Absolutely.
thank you to all of you. And my last piece is a message kind of that I want to leave with recruits that might be listening, right? Prospective student athletes that are listening tonight or will hear this at a later time. June 15th is 2 weeks away, right? So for our 2025s, right? For our rising juniors, don't put all your stock into if you don't get any phone call from D1 college coaches or D2 college coaches
Yeah.
on June 15th that, oh my God, your recruiting is over, you're done with, because that's not how it works, right? Very rarely do the phone calls that some recruits get on that first day or the second day, very rarely do they end up kind of going with any of those initial schools that they spoke with. Okay, so don't get caught up in comparing yourself or measuring. The barometer shouldn't be if you got a phone call or how many phone calls did I get on June 15th. Okay, so just from the mental health space, please take a deep breath and enjoy the journey. The journey is just, you're just really entering that's the first step, right, into getting your foot in the door. Is you still got what, almost 2 years to go, right? So
I
so
was
something very important that I really wanted to mention. And so yeah. And before we go,
real quick,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah.
I was just talking on this same thing today with two separate parents of 2025 graduates. And one thing I like to emphasize this time of year, and these parents are, and I don't blame them. Don't get me wrong. Like it's easy to sit on this side of it when it's not my child, right? And I'm like, oh, just be patient, relax, but that as a 25, now you 24 is like this thing's moving. Like
Yeah,
you got to get moving.
yeah,
But 2025s, and that's a great point, Hector. If your phone doesn't ring in 2 weeks, that doesn't mean you're never going to play college ball and this whole thing's over. But somewhere in there too, even if it does ring, great, awesome.
hmm,
Don't rest on that. Assume nothing. But you do still have a long road to go. The thing that I talked about to these parents was at this stage, again, as a 25, a second semester soft, incoming junior, macro patience, right? And micro speed. So in other words, in the macro, like in the big picture, in the big picture of the whole process, be
yeah,
patient. You still have a lot of runway. There's a lot of things that still have to happen before offers are coming, much less before you can ever sign something. So understand that. To your point, Hector, 2 years. I mean, like that's a long time. It's easy to get caught up in the moment, especially like I was a lot of AAU basketball I was talking
right,
today.
right,
Easy to get caught up, like, oh my gosh, we're playing all these tournaments. What do we do? We don't have offers. That girl does, whatever. You got to stay focused on your child and your process, patient in the macro, but in the micro, your day to day, aggressive, very proactive, and
right.
quick, right? hit a lot of coaches, be pushy, but again, still try to maintain some patience through that. So
Absolutely.
I love that you touched on the 25s. I was all over that today with some parents. So that's pretty coincidental. So I just wanted to apologize, man, but I just
no, you're good.
You're good.
And before I forget, one final excuse me, one final plug again. Where can we find you? We're going to get more information regarding NSR-Texas and NSR, as well as for those that may hear this on the audio podcast versus the video portion.
Sure. Yeah. So NSR-INC.com is the main website. You can go find all the different scouts. Mine and everything is in there in that Texas space. If you get to the map and you click on Texas, you'll inevitably find me in there. At SATX Recruiting is my main Twitter hub. You can find me on Facebook at /NSR-Texas, Instagram at NSR-Texas. I also do operate our Centex page at Recruit Centex. So from the social media side, email greg.smith@nsr-inc.com. Call, text me anytime, 210-494-6363. Text me, call me. I'm always here. Especially for you families in the region. Heck, I'm happy. Let's go to lunch. Like we can meet face to face, whatever you want to do, talk more. But yeah, social media, we're out there, and obviously take a peek. NSR, the site's fully searchable. You can see all of our kids all over the country. Just really, really great stuff in there. So please take a peek. And any of you folks out there, I'd love to talk more about your student athlete.
Yeah, absolutely. He is Greg Smith, the area director for NSR-Texas, and a pretty cool guy, I might add, as well. So
that's a first, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it's only because everyone's listening. That's
exactly.
So, this has been great, buddy. Definitely loved having you on. I know we're going to have you on here many more times. Sure. So to the first of many, excited to be partnering again with NSR as well. So thank you to our listeners. Again, you can go on there, subscribe on the YouTube page as well. Make sure the more you like the videos as well, it helps the algorithm. But go give us a rating as well on all. You can find us on all major podcast platforms, the 50/50 podcast. Go on there. Give us some reviews if you can. That really helps us out. You can also find us on Twitter and Twitch at 50_50 pod. Twitch has been our newest one that we're slowly trying to get off the ground. Cool. You can find us on Instagram at 50_50 podcast. And then again on YouTube, you just simply enter the 50_50 podcast. So Greg, appreciate you, brother. This has been awesome.
I really appreciate you too, Hector. Thank you so much.
For our listeners, thank you again. As always, enjoy your summer. I guess what I consider really the first day of summer today, June 1st.
Yeah,
but
a little bit.
Enjoy it. Hope you all had a great and safe Memorial Day weekend as well. So till the next time, you all know what to do. Keep downloading and keep listening. You've been listening to the 50/50 podcast, powered by National Scouting Report. Help us continue to grow by liking, rating, and subscribing on all major podcast platforms. And don't forget to follow us on Twitter at 50_50 pod, on Instagram at 50_50 podcast, as well as on YouTube at the 50_50 podcast. Until the next time, keep downloading,